I'm Brandon Woods, and this is Studio Notes for Sunday, September 26th, 2021. I actually don't have a lot to say this morning. Usually I'm just so long-winded, but I'm in my studio and I am ready to get to work. And I had one thought yesterday that maybe what would be more interesting to all of you, rather than just hearing me talk about things that I'm doing, is to actually see some of the things that I'm doing. I know, who would have thunk it? So I'm going to have my phone set up in my wood shop today. The iPhone 12 Pro is IP68, which means that it has very good dust resistance. My Canon R5 is decidedly lower than that, so I'm not going to be using my Canon R5 out there unless I am just bringing it out for just a minute. But I'll be recording on my phone. I'm still using a lav mic though, so you'll be able to hear me. And let's see how many of these shaped panels I can get constructed today. All right. Okay, so yesterday I cut down a lot of the leftover pieces from building my panels, my dimensional panels, and turned them into just standard straight square. 1.618 will be the total height of the board plus the panel. I decided to do that one because I'm still kind of really nerding out over golden ratio, and also because I have a lot of boards already made that will fit the shaped panels that I'm building. So in order to give myself the most flexibility and also to work with the depth that I've found is a really good depth, I decided to cut boards like these down to boards like these. And now I'm going to try a time lapse. We'll see how this goes. And I'm going to cut down some of these boards on here with my miter saw to actually fit those shaped panels. And hopefully I'll be able to get a lot of those constructed today. Let's see how it goes. Okay, well, leave it to me to get ahead of myself. One thing that I had to do before I am able to actually cut these miters is I have to go through and actually measure them. And so I have 3 panels here where I've gone through and I've figured out the different lengths and the angles of the corners. And so I'm starting with these, and then I'll go through after I finish these, and I will measure out more of them. And it'll just be a process where I'll measure, cut, measure, cut, measure, cut, measure, cut. Okay, so here is my first one built, one down, 37 to go. I don't actually know how many. And so step one now for this panel, after constructing it, or after cutting all the miters, is to, as with my video from the 21st, maybe, the extra long video that I made the other day, I'm going to flood the ends of these boards. And then after that, I will clamp them together and shellac the front and back of this panel and the cradle here as well, and then glue it all together. And that'll be one panel done. I'll just have to route it down from there and then prime it and paint it and then varnish it and document it. So lots to do for just one, and that's kind of the standard things that I do for each piece. It's a lot. So now I'm going to flood the ends of this one and get started on the next. Okay, so I'm just going to be headless for a minute, and I'm just going to do this live instead of do a slow motion version of this. See that? It's probably about 2% milk in terms of consistency, viscosity. All right. After the first round, it usually helps to go through with a paper towel. Just make sure the ends, that it's not pooling on the end of the board, but it's already just soaked through so much that that I can go through and do a second round. The ends of these boards are really thirsty. Okay, and here we have our flooded ends on our boards. So I'm going to give these 15, 20, 30 minutes to dry, and then I can put wood glue on there, and it's full viscosity, and I can clamp this frame together. Okay, so the ends of these boards have been flooded and they are ready for glue and a clamp. Now, usually, whenever I'm clamping my boards together, I use Collins clamps. The these spring clamps I talked about in my video the other day. These guys. And these will hold a joint together really well. But I have taken a liking recently to these Bessey, Bessey, belt clamp instead. I don't think that's the right word for it, but close enough. So whenever I'm putting the glue on here, so I've got squared out some of the glue. I like these little brushes. These are also by Tight Bond. They're one of those products that works really, really well, but is still almost frustratingly, it's like it's too expensive for what you get. It's almost not quite worth the price, but it works so well that this is the second one that I'm on now. Because the easiest way to clean these is just to let the glue dry on them and then just peel it off. But these are really good for getting a nice even coat of glue on the board. And that's what you want. You don't want any gaps, even though as it squeezes it together, it should fill those gaps, theoretically. But you want it to just be a nice even coating. You don't want too much. You don't really want too little. Well, you certainly don't want too little, but you don't want too much either, because then it's just going to be a mess everywhere. With my dimensional panels, I'll usually do this on a sheet of glass so that I know the surface that I'm working on is perfectly flat, and then that way that I can know that the panel is sitting perfectly flush against that glass, which means it's going to fit perfectly flush against the wall. And I'll flip it over so that I can also know that it's going to be fitting perfectly flush with the I wanted to show you guys this. This is how you know it's really good quality plywood. See how wide those strips are, those bands, and there's no gaps in any of them. It's beautiful. This is going to be a super strong joint because it is a very acute angle. It was a little bit tricky cutting it on my miter saw, as you saw in the time lapse that I did. I need a paper towel. This big miter, I might have put a little bit too much in there. I'm going to actually bring you guys with me here. For this super acute miter, sorry, I bounced you around there. Um, I've actually put 3 of those corner hinges on that one so that it won't, and a piece of foam core so that it won't blunt the tip of my miter there. I don't want to get wood glue all over my fingers. I'm going to have to manipulate these miters a little bit to make sure that they're all flush and sitting flat on top and bottom. So get out a couple of gloves out of my zippered bag here. The zipper keeps out spiders. You never want to put on a pair of gloves that you've just had sitting around because there's a chance there might be a spider in there. If you have a pair of gloves that has been sitting around, just shake it out. If you can flip them inside out, shake it out, all the better. But at least give it a good shake, kind of play with the fingers a little bit. And that should help make sure that you don't have any spiders in your gloves. That's a terrifying thought. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now I'll just leave this on my workbench for the next while, and that will be glued together. So after that, I will sand it, make sure that it's nice and clean, and then spray shellac on it and the hardboard panel that's going on top of here, and then I will glue those together. So I'm going to keep it on here. I think I might actually be able to glue together my next panel. I do have another band clamp. So, but I don't know if I have enough of these guys. So I might be using my Collins clamps for that one. Stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages from the advertisers. Okay, so panel number 2. This one's really cool because it's a triangle instead of a rectangle. Quadrilateral. Oh, forgot the word quadrilateral for a second there. Or really, because it's a 5-sided figure with depth, it's a pentahedron instead of a hexahedron, which is a 6-sided figure. And yeah. I'm gonna glue it together. I'm just gonna use my Collins clamps on this one because this, this miter up here is only 26 degrees, and so if I think I'm really gonna have a lot of trouble with the band clamp if I try to use that on that. I was pushing it with the other one. I think it would be too far with that one. So, same process. Okay. This table is pretty flat. So, okay. So it's the it's just over here. Over here isn't flat. This is. Thank goodness. I was worried. All right. So now time for me to start on the next panel. I have probably have enough time left in me to left and enough energy left in me to do one more today. So 3 panels in one day. That's not too bad. All right. Well, I am winding down. It's about 7:30 almost, and but I got 4 panels. The frames for 4 panels. Got today. I'm assembling the 4th one, which is really pretty interesting shape, and I guess that does it for me. So hope that gave you a better perspective of what it looks like for me to do this stage in my process. Until next time, I want to encourage you to do what you love and make good work. I'll talk to you soon.